CinemaSins is not satire. It is, however, poorly written. Or rather, if it is satire, it is incredibly bad satire. Now, I'm fully aware that this is going to be one of my more controversial videos, because the audience I've cultivated over the years for my series on CinemaSins is full of both people who love CinemaSins and people who adamantly despise them. But I do want to make things very clear that I'm not making this video, or any of my videos, as some kind of hateful crusade against CinemaSins. I don't hate them, I really don't have many strong feelings about them. I just enjoy making videos, and they were a topic I picked and stuck with for a very long time. This video isn't going to end with me telling you to stop watching CinemaSins, or that CinemaSins is bad for film criticism as a whole. You enjoy what you enjoy, that's absolutely fine. This video is more about dispelling the myth that CinemaSins should not be criticised for their frequent and very real errors and inaccuracies in their videos. Under nearly any video criticising CinemaSins you can find, whether it be by me or one of these fine lads, you'll probably find some comments like these. The videos are for comedy purposes. He's not actually criticising the movie. The fact that there's still people who don't know this is insane. Channels like this one are awesome because I love finding people that don't know how to take a joke or figure out what's meant as comedy versus what's meant as an actual critical analysis. You can't take these videos like he's being 100% serious. It's for entertainment. Not every sin they mention is a critique of the movie. Sometimes they're just going for comedy. Seems like you're taking CinemaSins way too seriously. They're not critics. It's for comedy? Okay, let me just quickly Google the definition of comedy. Oh yeah, here it is. Comedy. Noun. Something that can never be criticised or reviewed critically for any reason because fuck you. I know what comedy is. I make it sometimes. And it doesn't require you to be wrong about stuff. You can be right and funny at the same time. That's possible. Now, sometimes people do make jokes where the joke itself is that they are wrong. They are being wrong for comedic effect. That's not what CinemaSins are doing. Well, no, I won't say that they've never made a joke where the joke is that they are wrong. But let's look at something like this.
You're the nicest boy I know.
And the only boy she knows.
I took this from CinemaSins' Hotel Transylvania 2 video. This sin is presented as a criticism of the film with comedic intentions behind it. Essentially trying to prompt a reaction from the audience along the lines of, haha, isn't this film so dumb and silly? However, Jeremy is completely wrong here, and to demonstrate that, I'm just going to play the full scene that he's talking about.
You're the nicest boy I know. And I have 300 brothers.
I chose this example not because it's typical, but because it's one of the most obvious examples there is. If you play the full scene, you'll know that the sin is inaccurate. He's not the only boy she knows, she has 300 brothers. She literally uses that fact to qualify her statement. On top of all this, even if you were to remove that second line of dialogue so that she just says, "You're the nicest boy I know," and you removed all of her brothers' appearances from the film, so that for its entire runtime we never hear her talking about or interacting with any other boy, the sin would still be inaccurate. This wolf girl character, whose name I can't be bothered to Google, like seriously, it's Hotel Transylvania 2, does anyone really give a shit? Is here on vacation, and that's the only context in which we see her in the film. There is no way of telling how many boys she knows in her personal life because we don't see her personal life. And this sin isn't some kind of isolated incident, by any means. He's wrong in a lot of places, but this is one of the easiest to demonstrate. CinemaSins here has misrepresented a movie so that they could make a joke at its expense. And to make things even more embarrassing, this is Hotel Transylvania 2. Could you not think of anything to actually criticise in this film? Knowing that Jeremy is wrong on this doesn't improve the joke. It means that the joke no longer works. Regardless of whether or not the intention behind this was to provide comedy or real film analysis, the error still detracts from the quality of the writing. And if you're a CinemaSins fan ready to disagree with me on this to tell me that there's something deeper I don't understand, or that this is somehow intended as satire, you know who does agree with me on this? CinemaSins fans. Under CinemaSins videos that feature more obviously incorrect sins like this, there's normally someone in the comments correcting him with hundreds and hundreds of upvotes. If this inaccuracy was intended as part of the joke, then that's something that CinemaSins has completely failed to communicate to their audience. Even the replies to this comment defending CinemaSins aren't doing it by saying that this is supposed to be part of the joke. They're saying things like, "I think she meant it in an exclusively romantic way," or "I think Jeremy means he's the only human boy." How can you say that? She literally brought up her 300 brothers as a qualifier for that statement. What the fuck are you talking about? In short, I'm aware that CinemaSins is comedy, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't hold them to the same standards of quality that we hold everyone else to. If you're misinterpreting or misrepresenting a movie in order to make a joke about it, and the misinterpretation or misrepresentation isn't part of the joke, then that's lazy writing. You can't just sweep away criticisms of things like that by going, "Oh, it's just for comedy." Yeah, okay, it's for comedy. It's still wrong. Now, there are probably a few people watching this video at this point thinking something along the lines of, Is this guy really asking us to believe a point he's making about an entire YouTube channel based on one thing they said in one of their videos? And if you are thinking that, well done, because no, I have not presented anywhere near the amount of evidence I would have to fully make this point. Yet. At this point in my initial draft of this script, I was going to recommend you just go back and watch my extensive backlog of videos about CinemaSins. So instead of just having to take my word when I say that mistakes happen incredibly frequently in CinemaSins videos, you can just go and look back at these videos where I catalogue all of those mistakes. But when I went back and looked at a few of my episodes with this in mind, I realised they wouldn't be perfect for that purpose. As a convenient commenter put it, it's for entertainment. Not every sin I mention is a critique of CinemaSins. Sometimes I'm just going for comedy. The difference here is that I'm not using that as a defense in any way. If you want to criticize me for mistakes in my videos, go ahead. The fact that their primary intention was comedic doesn't mean errors in them can't be scrutinized. And you know what? Hey, sometimes in my videos I respond to things that clearly are jokes. I'm perfectly happy to admit that looking back, sometimes it seems like I do that just for the sake of disagreeing, which is something I really do want to change in the future. And you see there, despite the fact that my content is primarily intended as comedy, I've acknowledged a flaw in it, with the hopes of fixing that flaw. But instead of recommending that you just go and check out my backlog, I've compiled a playlist of 5 videos I think best exemplify this writing flaw that CinemaSins has. And in the very near future, I'll be adding a 6th video to it, when I make a much more in-depth analysis of the CinemaSins Infinity War video. Okay, now that we've demonstrated that CinemaSins makes mistakes that aren't part of their jokes, and I've provided you with a link to proof that they do this incredibly frequently, people using the "it's just for comedy" excuse should have nothing to fall back on, right? Nope. Did you forget the title of the video? We've barely mentioned satire yet, but I have laid down all the groundwork I need to make this next point. If ever you see a video criticising CinemaSins, whether it be by this prick, this crude drawing, Daddy Birdboy, or this skull in glasses, it probably has some comments under it, like these ones. Everyone's hating on CinemaSins and Jeremy, but it's a comedy channel, playing the asshole with intentionally bad and annoying reviews. It's funny how people don't realise that most of the vids Jeremy's releasing now is satire. Does this channel thrive on people who don't get that CinemaSins is satire? If you're so ticked off by a satire channel that you make so many videos like this, I think you've pretty much missed the point entirely.
Thank you, Shaun.
Okay, so let's examine this claim, that CinemaSins is bad on purpose for satirical purposes. And let's start by looking at an actual example of satire. This is the No Man's Sky rant, a video by controversial YouTube figure Harris Bomber Guy. And regardless of your personal opinions on his work,
Mine are strongly mixed.
the guy knows what satire is. Hooray!
We need to protect video games from people who did social studies.
The intention of his video is to make fun of the overwhelmingly negative and angry response to the 2016 video game No Man's Sky. And guess what? You can tell that's what he's doing just from watching his video. Imagine that.
I'm entitled to my own opinion, and that's the same thing as being right.
His top-rated comments aren't all people going, but hang on, being entitled to your own opinion isn't the same thing as being right. That's not true at all. It's people who understand the intention of the video. Even the people criticising him understand what he's going for, and are taking issue with the video's intended purpose. Now, this isn't the only way to do satire, by any means. But the point is, people understand that it is satire. The majority don't interpret it as serious. They don't try to correct the mistakes because they know the mistakes are the joke. They don't ask him why he's screaming when he says things like,
Deus Ex designer and human miracle Warren Spector once wrote that the theoretical best game ever might take place in a relatively small, simple space which changes as a result of your decisions over the course of the story. No Man's Sky, by creating a gigantic universe but filling it with mundane and relatively low-key mechanics, presents a facet of this philosophy from the opposite direction.
They get that the point is to juxtapose the angry style of a furious rant with more positive comments. But let's put it this way. If you tell a "your mum is so fat" joke to one of your friends and they just think you're being completely serious and say, "What, my mum is like actually quite skinny, I don't know what you're talking about," then either you have told the joke badly or your friend is being an idiot. Then let's say you told that same joke in the same way to 8 million of your friends, and an overwhelming majority of them responded in the same way, you might want to start considering that maybe it's your joke that's the problem. The conclusion is, if CinemaSins is trying to be satire, they have completely failed to communicate this to their audience. Or, more to the point, They've barely tried. You could watch 100 CinemaSins videos and be given no indication that they're supposed to be satire, which is why when in Everything Wrong with A Quiet Place, Jeremy says,
Also, I'm sure everything is being powered by a generator here. Well, with the electric company probably not in business anymore. But don't generators make noise? Even if you found a relatively quiet one, wouldn't it produce more decibels than a toy rocket?
One of the top comments is someone pointing out that there are solar panels on the roof. In his video on Guardians of the Galaxy 2, when he says,
It takes a long-ass time for this guy to die in space, and I'm pretty sure everyone from Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson to Tim Robbins in Mission to Mars would tell you his death would be near instantaneous.
One of the top comments is someone telling him that death in space is not actually instant. When in Jeremy's Wreck-it Ralph video, he says,
I think it's some sort of unfinished bonus level.
That they just left in the game? So the programmers of Sugar Rush were planning some sugar-free bonus level and decided not to include it at the last minute, but just left the code sitting there?
Not one, not two, but three of the top comments are people telling Jeremy that he's wrong about this. That unfinished bonus level left in the game sin is wrong. Literally every game has unfinished assets and partially finished... Yeah, sure, let's use that take. Fuck it, why not? Now, this doesn't happen in the comment section of literally every CinemaSins video, but it does happen in a huge proportion of them. And when you look at the replies to these comments, they're not people saying, you don't understand that CinemaSins is satire, do you? It's supposed to be wrong. They're people debating whether or not this correction is accurate. In the Guardians 2 comment section, they're arguing about how long it actually takes to die in space. In the Wreck-it Ralph comment section, it's people just agreeing that the sin is inaccurate. And people arguing about whether or not the correction is accurate. And people arguing about furries. I'm not a furry! Your profile picture says otherwise. No, it doesn't. It's just an icon I made in a browser-based icon maker, and it does not have to... You sure know a lot about furries, and your profile picture is obviously a sheep of some sort. Yeah, this person is clearly just a furry who's trying to deny and hide that fact by having a furry as their avatar. Wait, you know what? Maybe we should start considering that they're telling the truth. On the correction in the comment section of Everything Wrong with A Quiet Place, there's no one going, you just don't get it. This is satire. It's supposed to be making fun of overly nitpicky assholes. A comment under a CinemaSins video about how they're wrong about something isn't met with comments about how CinemaSins is just satire, or just for comedy and not supposed to be 100% accurate. But as soon as someone like Shaun makes a video about how loads of their points are wrong, he gets people telling him that he's simply missed the point.
CinemaSins gave Blade Runner a sin for being, quote, super advanced and super dilapidated all at the same time. You know, like it's a mistake. Now, Blade Runner is, of course, a cyberpunk film, and the juxtaposition of advanced technology and societal problems, like inequality, is by design. You know, rather than technology leading to a utopian post-scarcity future, films and other works of art in this subgenre typically ask, what if technology keeps advancing, but we're unable to solve our various societal problems? You know, what if we still have things like inequality, class divides, crime, police, slavery, and all that? You know, how will the advance of technology interact with and even possibly exacerbate those problems?
Jeremy doesn't make these videos to be 100% accurate. He makes them for laughs, and you ruin them by playing the smart ass. If you're so ticked off by a satire channel that you make so many videos like this, I think you've pretty much missed the point entirely. Yeah, no. Of the two people that comment was about, I don't think Shaun is the one who missed the point. But no, I'm sure when Jeremy says this about Blade Runner, or this about A Quiet Place, or this about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, or this about Hotel Transylvania 2, or whatever inaccurate comment he makes, that he's actually making some kind of satirical point about other criticism channels. And it's not just the lazily written, half-assed comment that it looks like, sounds like, and is. To sum up, if you like CinemaSins, fine, that's cool, don't worry. But when someone points out that their writing is just riddled with errors, mistakes, inaccuracies, and oversimplifications, just throwing out the words comedy or satire is not a defense of that. If they're just for comedy, there's no reason they can't still be right. And if they were right, that would improve their comedy. Or, if their intention actually was purely satirical, then when you defend their inaccuracies by saying, oh, it's just satire, then all that's made different by the addition of that information is that instead of being a poorly written nitpick channel, it's a poorly executed satire channel. It's poorly made one way or the other, you're just disagreeing about what it actually is it's bad at. I'll leave you with this. In September of 2014, CinemaSins and Screen Junkies did a crossover event where they each made an episode of each other's series. CinemaSins made an honest trailer, and Screen Junkies made a CinemaSins video. I implore you to go and watch the Screen Junkies CinemaSins video because this is what CinemaSins could be. Not everything in it is serious movie criticism, and you can tell.
Underage drinking! Arrest him, Spider-Man!
People don't have to defend comments like that by saying, oh, it's not intended as serious film criticism and it's not meant to be accurate, because the intention of the line is made clear by the writing. The video is accurate, sharply written, and funny.
This year's valedictorian, Gwen Stacy.
She looks pretty surprised to win valedictorian for someone wearing a scarf that says valedictorian.
But CinemaSins videos aren't satire. They're just poorly written. I'd like to end this video by just saying a huge thanks to my patrons. When I was a kid back in 2010 making YouTube videos, I always had a dream that one day I'd be able to put credits at the end of them. I know it sounds weird, but a lot of the creators I really respected at the time had enough people working on their videos to have credits at the end. And I wanted that. So, and I really wish there was a less cheesy way to say this, thanks for making my dream come true. I hope you've enjoyed. A goodbye.